I'm here in the first tab, trainer one, okay, and viewing the portfolio of trainer one. In the second tab, I'm also trainer one because it's not possible to be logged in as two different users in the same Firefox, okay? It wouldn't make also sense. Actually, even for the workflow. So I'm always trainer one, but you can be whatever you are, Monica. Let's say you are Linda Book or whatever. You will of course stay logged in as Linda Book. And now you go to portfolio of trainer one. How do you do that? Lab one, trainer one, okay? You know that. And in the Fiji dataset, you select the first image. It has 13 ROIs, and it has this horrendous ROI, which I drawn in Fiji by hand, okay? Nobody else has this ROI. Now you want to copy this ROI and put it into the portfolio of Omero.web, okay? Or whoever user you are. Now, how you do that? You select the portfolio of trainer one and open that image in iViewer just as I did, and then go to the ROIs tab and select that ROI, okay? Then you have here an edit copy button. Then you better go into the second web client where you have to go and find the image onto which you want to paste. And you open that image. That's actually the same image, kind of sister image of the same quality, but it's a different image, okay? In the Fiji dataset belonging to Omero.web, it has no ROIs on it. I open that in iViewer, then goes to ROIs tab, and then go edit, and then you see that there are no ROIs here. And now I say paste, and that's how I pasted a ROI between two users. It's a ROI, it's an action which was done by trainer one, but Omero.web could have done it himself, okay? Or you can do it yourself. It of course depends who is logged in. It depends whose ROI it will be in the end, okay? So this is an unsaved ROI. I will save it. And you can see the ROI has the comment, and etc. etc. It looks exactly the same, and I have now two different ROIs on two different images. Okay, you can see that these are different images. This one has 13 ROIs and belongs to trainer one, and this one has just one ROI. So that's how to do it in Omero. Did you get it? Kind of. It's not the most beautiful workflow. Yeah, great. But if you do that in Fiji, actually, it's easier. Look, if you go to lab one, you can pop into lab one and you go to, you actually open that image straight ahead and you say display ROIs, okay? And you've got all the ROIs there. I think that the first ROI is the one we just discussed. And if you then go to the portfolio of Omero.web or Linda Book, for example, for that matter. Okay, and the only thing here is that you have to open the portfolio of Linda Book, open the corresponding image. I don't want to display ROIs now for Linda Book, but the ROI is already there because Fiji works like that. You see, it locally remembers in the ROI manager the ROIs from the other image, which I have still open as well, and simply smacks them automatically on that image as well. So if I go now and say plugins, Omero, and save ROIs to Omero, it will save them on the particular image which is in focus here, which belongs to Linda Book, and this will go directly to Linda Book. So you can see in Fiji it's even easier, and yeah, so that's two ways. One is the Fiji way, and one is the Omero way. Okay, if you of course don't have Fiji, yeah. Is that kind of clear? Okay, great. So this is done. Let's move on from Fiji. And I will close the tabs here because that's too much. Just bear with me. Very good. The second natural way, thing after I've done my analysis is to explore the data again based on the analytical results. Okay, so we just said that we have I forgot one important thing which was on the program of the workshop. Pardon me. Let's do it right now before I forget. I promised that we have we will show the download of images. I touched upon it in the introductory bit where I was showing how to move about in OMERO.web. I was showing the right-hand pane and saying that you have the original metadata here, the most important ones, and that we are storing the original data in the original format. So if I select here the download button, that's how I download images from OMERO.web. You can download them from OMERO.insight. You have also a command line option to download. You also have an application called OMERO Downloader. You have several options. Now with the download, if you select this option, this means download the original data, or metadata. The export means that you will download some other image than the one which is original. It's usual in other application, this wording. So you can export as OMETIF. This would give me all the planes from this image and all the qualities on this image, as well as export as OMETIF also preserves, interestingly, all the regions of interest. So I will download this image as, export this image as OMETIF. It will have certain regions of interest in the correct places, and I can, let's say, import it into another OMERO or some such. But if I select the first download option, it will just download the original raw DV image. So let's just do that. I click on download. It is just one image, so it will tell me open with or save. I will say save, and because I'm on a fast network, you could see that the image is already in my local folder, and that's how I downloaded it. So now it's out of OMERO. It is still a DV. It's kind of interestingly misunderstood by my Mac as a movie, but this doesn't matter. If I choose to re-import it into OMERO, it will work, and it will have the correct particularities for being recognized as DV, and it will indeed be the original image which I imported into OMERO. If I have more complex hierarchy, or I select several images, I think like so, then I get a additional dialog, which allows me to download both of those selected files. Note I selected 2 images here as a zip, or I can download single files. This is particularly interesting in cases where I have something quite big, like let's say this one. This is an image which I definitely am not going to attempt to download. It's really big. You can see what would happen, probably in the best case, a very long wait and a grinding on my bandwidth possibly. But if I click on the download button here, yeah, that's what I don't want to do. Okay, so it would download one file because it's the only one file is underlying those 3 images. Okay, so that's not what I want to do. So if you are downloading stuff, just be mindful about how much you want from the server and whether or not it's really feasible to go down this route. Okay, I think if I go here, let's say for the multi-TZ, I have 12 ROIs. Let's try to export this as OMETIF. Create. It will think about it a little bit. Well, maybe that was a mistake. And 40 by 40, for that section by 40 time points, it will probably spin for quite a while. Okay, but that's my bad. I should have used my brain before I used my finger. And yeah, that's how it is. The server is now creating an OME-TIFF, so it will create plane by plane from this original DV and OME-TIFF. It's not a download, it's an export, and I just have to pay with my patience for this, and then the OME-TIFF will be ready for me to download. Okay, if you are a super user and want your users to be able to do this download, you have to really invest some thinking into how you design your server, how much typically your users want to download, and Omero is quite strict about what it will allow and what it will not allow to download for those reasons, because users. Okay, and how if the new institution does have an Omero, and what happens if they don't have an Omero in their new institution? Okay.
This is one thing we've made attempt to. Well, we have basic tools that are not that friendly at that stage to actually export and potentially re-import data. At the moment, there's no smooth transfer of the data from one Omero instance to the other because of the way when you export data, you will have a unique identifier in one Omero instance. If you go to another one, that unique identifier might be taken, so you have to be, when you will need to re-import and some knowledge. So there is a tool to do that, as Peter is pointing out, called OMERO Downloader, but it's not. It's more command line oriented.
Yes, exactly. Actually, we have a PR open where we have. I mean, Dominic, our colleague, just inserted some very nice improvements on the download capabilities of OMERO.insight. But the reason why we are so cautious when talking about this now with Jean-Marie is that none of those options we are showing you will kind of satisfy you in the fullest sense. Okay, it will this will give you that, just like as OMERO.web gives you this dialog with options to go for a zip or to download a single file out of many, and OMERO.insight now is going to be downloading the units into file sets, and it will not make any mistakes, and it can be more performant in many cases in comparison to OMERO.web. OMERO Downloader will be quite performant, but it needs a command line capabilities of the users. So then the question of downloading the metadata, some community members are working on that feverishly, because they, of course, understand that this question is of a huge importance, but for us, it's kind of what we call an epic. It's not trivial by any means. And I think that the group in Harvard, I think, came just recently with some downloading solutions, which basically comes one of those Omero servers. But it's again, there are many buts and ifs, yeah, because you really want the whole package, and it depends also from setup to setup what is really needed and wanted. Some might be happy with the images, some might be happy only with the images and the metadata, nothing else makes sense. The other Omero server, as you suggest in your question, might not even exist. So you would have to probably then download the data as they are and the metadata in some representation, which Omero Downloader gives you up to a certain point. And the up to a certain point is really the crucial bit here. it really needs studying about, and yeah, digging and asking, basically. Good. Very good. So I just, as you saw in answer to Nadia's question, I browsed into the OMERO guide section, which I navigated from our walkthrough, and the section is called export, obviously, and there is everything and more what I was just showing in the look at that. So it's not tragic, okay? The OMETIF was created for me, but as I say, don't expect lightning speeds on that, especially on servers which are definitely not ready for a too big a load in the sense as our workshop server is not. And the OMETIF is created, and I will just click on this sign to download it. The OMETIF is downloaded for me. It's called batch image export. I expand it, and here is my OMETIF. Okay, it will open locally, so that you can trust me that indeed it has many planes. Okay, this is obviously, you can see numbers like 147. This comes from the 40 by 4, so this should have something like 160. Oh, it has much more. It probably also has the channels right in. And I think that if I go to OMERO.insight and then go to downloads, I can go to date modified, batch image export, the OMETIF, download, re-import, create and add to the queue, import that OMETIF. That goes quite fine. So now we are talking about export, okay? Because the original image was not an OMETIF. I just downloaded an OMETIF for whatever reasons I might have. It's definitely not the worst idea in the world. Image export, and you can see here I have my 40 by 40 OMETIF this time. You can see the ending is OMETIF, but because it comes from an original DV, it has an ending OMETIF. Okay, so this is one of the options here. Yeah, so I just showed you how to export an image as OMETIF. If you can open that OMETIF, you can see it has 12 ROIs. These are really the same ROIs, so I downloaded the OMETIF with the ROIs. This goes so to say for free. I didn't have to say anything in the web client or something, and re-uploaded the image into OMERO, and indeed it has the same amount and quality of ROIs as the original DV from which the OMETIF was created. Very good. So much for the download. If no more questions, let's go back to, sorry for the clicking. Let me clean up the space first. And the portfolio of train 1, you can be there and you should be there for this one as well. This is navigated to again like so, and I have here the IDEA 0021 project. Now this is some 400 images which were segmented using Fiji. We discussed a minute ago what workflow in Fiji was used to segment those images. I showed that workflow manually, and then we showed the environments which you can use to reproduce this workflow in a more industrious way, in a more in a more production manner with higher throughput. Where the scripts automatically take the images one by one, either dragging the images locally and then segmenting them, or you are using this computer on the cloud environment inside Docker. And having done that, you segmented all the images inside that dataset, such as this one. You can see that it has the ROIs, which makes sense. Okay, I just randomly selected one of them, and then also saved using the script and summary table. This is the same summary table saved in two different ways. The first way, let's say here in the bottom, is the .csv, which is the comma separated value, which you might easily download and open immediately using your Excel, and you might be more familiar. Nevertheless, you can't see that within Omero. The top one is called Summary from Fiji, and it's an Omero table. That's the Python-based flexible structure I mentioned in the opening presentation. And it is openable and viewable in OMERO.web by clicking on this eye icon. And you can see, indeed, it's coming from Fiji with all the bells and whistles like ferret Y, ferret X. Also, there is image ID. As a column, there is a parameter called bounding box, which is basically an area of the box which is around those variously shaped polygon ROIs, and which encompass the centrioles being a subcellular structure which is on these super resolution images as they were submitted into IDR. These are the image data resource images, so publicly available, as are all the images in our training server. Now, having this table with all those parameters, it would be interesting to mine the data using exactly these numbers coming from Fiji. And for that, we have an application called Omera Parade. So having selected the project IDR 0021, I go to the top of the central pane and drop down the menu on the right, click on Parade. Nothing big will happen. It just says no open data sets, because Parade by default works only with open data sets. And I click on Open All. This will open all the data sets under that project. And I can now filter for, let's say, ROI count. So it's quite intuitive. So for example, I can filter for all the images which have more than 10 regions of interest. You could see that the images numbers have changed. I can add new filter, again ROI count, and I can swap the bigger and smaller sign here and say that it should be all images with ROIs between 10 and 40 or 10 and 20. Just really to reduce it down, you can see this image indeed has 15 ROIs, so this is between 10 and 20. So in this manner, I can filter the images. I can also select another view, a column view, and I can now add table data such as table total area. A new column pops in. This is simply one parameter out of the table which I was showing to you, and I can add yet another one to make it more interesting, table bounding box. So now I have two parameters, and I can now sort according to those parameters, and I can select those parameters, and there is a color heat map which will tell me how, yeah, now it's more reasonable. Now I have all the images. There is a color map which will tell me basically from the red hot towards the black, which of those have bigger bounding boxes and which have smaller bounding boxes. Okay, as well as this is just my internet catching up. Very good. I can now select the small graph icon on the right, and I have the graphical representation of the dependencies here between total area and the bounding box. Bounding box is the area of the box which encompasses regions of interests around those centrioles. So, for example, I can see that those two images, each point in this graph is representing an image. That those two images have quite a large total area for a fairly small bounding box. And if I want to inspect those two images, I will go to the right-hand pane and click on the OMERO iViewer. OMERO iViewer is capable of opening images from different data sets. And if I go and let's say select this image and then click on the regions of interest here, I can see that these images are actually quite okay. So this is a quality control step. Nevertheless, if I let's say select those two images, I think this one and that one. Like so. Okay. Again, open them in OMERO iViewer. That's the one I was looking for. You can see that this is a ROI which is not looking right. Okay, so this was coming from my suspicion that the bounding box is quite big, but the table area is quite small. Okay, that's why I picked those two. And indeed, this is not right. The bounding box is an area of a rectangle, which I'm just highlighting with my mouse, something like this. The reason the rectangle is so big for an area so small is that the shape of this region of interest is nowhere near circular, but it should be almost circular because the centrioles are circular. You can see both of them here and here. So this is a mistake during the image analysis. And on this particular image, the Fiji algorithm didn't perform the best. And I will have to discard this image from my further considerations, or indeed reanalyze it using some other means. In this way, I used the OMERA Parade as a quality control step, and it's giving me a nice assurance here. Okay, we have also an OMERA Parade.
Sorry,
yes.
Do you want to go back to there was a question about the color in the heat map?
Yes.
The color of the value. So what was determining in that case you were?
Okay, so you might see, for example, this green has value 37. Okay, the heat map is simply being determined. You can be sure that the red one, which is saying 181, will be bigger than any green. So it basically goes, and the black one, don't get scared. The black one means 0 regions of interest, so nothing to consider. But if I, let's say, rearrange it, you can see that the hottest red has 268, under that is 249, under that there's 203, and it goes through the dark. I mean, unfortunately, these are also black, but it goes descending over kind of almost black, dark green, and then basically towards colors which we would call colder. Okay, and then here are values like 70 and stuff like that. Okay, so it goes from very hot red to, let's say, very cold green with the number 3.1. Sorry about that, I shouldn't have done this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is what determines the colors. You can select them, select that.
Yeah, I think it's the choice of color that we probably, as Marie indicated, we should probably improve the choice of how to to change the color.
Yeah, there
Maybe
should be
you
a
look up
choosing.
table or something else.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see, we just demonstrated it very obviously. It probably should go into blue, and the black is indeed a bit disturbing, but that's what it is. We have some other prototypes, but we don't actively develop this OMERO Parade at the moment. Okay, so if I go back to the graph, I was just showing you how to open the images inside that graph based on their qualities with respect to the areas of the basically the size of the centrioles which are inside them. And you can also open such image in, let's say, select this one and this one and this one. These my points which I'm choosing for some qualities. Let's say I can do some extrapolation curve here and highlight those three images, and then go to the right-hand pane and open them in OMERO.figure. I can also do it from the left. If I use the context menu, there is the open with as well, and say OMERO.figure. So those three images will be opened in OMERO.figure. Okay, very good. So I